So, thank you for clicking on this. But anyways, I'm gonna be 1v1ing my brother while I do this. What the heck? Anyways, yeah, this story is just gonna be about. I have two stories. They're both gonna be about substitute teachers I had that were. Anyways, I'll just go ahead and get started. So anyways, we had this one substitute teacher in one class. And we all thought it was gonna be normal. We haven't had this substitute teacher. It was like a new one. So we were all fine with it until she just started yelling at us for no reason. Like, she was being nice, but then all of a sudden she just started yelling at us. Like, I had no idea why. So we thought, like, okay, we'll just be quiet. So that's what we did. And she just walked up to this one kid and just started running her fingers through his hair. And she would do this on multiple occasions. She'd just randomly walk up to him and start running her fingers through his hair. So then after the class, like, and she had multiple freakouts, like one of these things, like someone coughed and she just started yelling at them for being too loud. So, yeah, that kind of threw off the vibe for the whole class and the rest of the school day. So we got into the next class and that kid was complaining about it the entire time and just would not shut up about it, which, I mean, he is a troublesome kid. He gets into a lot of trouble. He was the first kid to get ISS in that school year. So we thought nothing of it. We were like, all right, I hope that we never get this substitute again. 2 weeks later, we have to have her for 3 days in a row. So we were all like, all right, we're screwed. This isn't gonna work. First day, like, it's just going completely fine. We're like, all right, maybe she changed. But then, like, it was math class, and when we finished, we had nothing else to do because we had 2 papers. So then we were going to get our computers to do computer work. All right, there we go, I won. So 2 kids were walking next to each other, which was the first bad sign. And then one of them trips, and the other starts laughing, which gets them in trouble. She writes up the kid who trips for, like, no reason at all. Like, and he's like, why did you write me up? And she's just like, well, you were playing around. And the second kid who's laughing, he's like, all right, don't think I'm not writing you up too. He says, why'd you write me up? And he says, the teacher says, well, because you were playing around and getting all mad about it. So she goes up to the back of the board where substitute is, like, where she's supposed to write notes. And then, oh, I'm dead. Well, not dead, but, like, do I have a damage there? And she writes, whole class was being disruptive and, disobeying me. So we were just, like, looking around, like, why did she write that? Only 2 kids were being disrupted, and really they didn't even do anything. And then she finishes off by writing, with the exception of a few, and underlines it, like, 3 or 4 times. When, like, those 2 kids were the only kids doing something wrong, apparently. So they were all confused, and, yeah, it was the end of the day. Next day, we're there, and, the kid who tripped dropped his book, and he says, like, because his big book, it made a lot of noise, and he said, my bad. And she said, no, you're on purpose. And he said, my on purpose. It was, like, genuinely an accident. Because, like, he was just moving his hand around and knocked the book off his desk. So, and she's like, don't get smart with me, blah, 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 just getting all mad at him. And, like, just, like, it was so annoying. And then, she walks up to the front of the class and says, yesterday, that note I wrote, I erased it, and just because I felt pity for y'all. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah. And then she said, I'm not going to erase it again because you've proven time and time again that you cannot behave. So, we're all just like, what have we done? Only 2 or 3 kids have been doing stuff annoying. So then this one student in our class is usually pretty bad, just starts being a teacher's pet, snitching on everyone who does something, like, barely even bad. Oh my gosh, I'm dead. Alright, never mind. So, like, everyone's just mad at him and constantly telling him to shut up. It was kind of funny, the whole class period. But, yeah. And she writes another note. Like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Like, with good reason, though, because the whole class was telling the kid to shut up. And we were like, alright, well, anyways, our teacher's gonna be really mad. We go the next day, it's not there. She says, I erased it, but I'm not gonna erase it again. Ooh. Okay, he's mad. Here, I'll do normal this time. So, we were all confused, like, why'd she erase it? She said she wasn't doing it again. So, we just went on with class, and this day, nothing really crazy happens. Oh my gosh. And it was just a normal day. Everyone was just being quiet. And she writes another note. So, yeah. I don't know if she erased it or not. She probably did. But, yeah, it was really annoying that day. Because the reason I think she erased it is because no one got in trouble the next day. 1 second. How did he hit me? I was behind him. Alright, I'm about to play. But anyways, no one got in trouble the next day we were in school. So yeah, we just thought, alright, that's the end of it. Until we got her again in another teacher's class. We haven't, like, this is the last time we saw her, and it's been a couple of weeks. Why did I eat steak? But, it was, like, really annoying. She was tired of our class. So, we go in there, and she's all in a bad mood, even though this is our second period class. And, the first period, or homeroom, is supposedly one of the best classes. So we were like, why is she in such a bad mood? So, she is, like, super annoying that day, just like, oh my gosh, I died like that. And she's just like talking so much and like getting on to kids for pretty much nothing. And then she says, all right, everyone go get your Chromebook. So everyone just starts getting up and getting them, and she says, no, one group at a time. And she doesn't say which group, so everyone's up there, and she's like, I said one group at a time. So everyone just grabs their Chromebooks and sits down. Oh my gosh, I'm about to lose again. So, yeah, and then she's starting sending kids to the bathroom, and she gets to my group. And she stares me directly in the eyes and points to the person next to me and says, go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, why is she just... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Why is she just sending us one at a time when every other group she's been sending us... Like, every other group she's been sending multiple people at a time. So, then that person gets back, and I'm just sitting there like, is she gonna call on me now? And then she stares me in the eyes again, and I'm like, alright, is she gonna call on me? And then she looks to the person in front of me and says, you go to the bathroom. And then that person gets back and she moves on to the next group. So I'm like, why didn't she call on me? So I raised my hand and I said, can I go to the bathroom? And she said, no, you didn't go when I called on you. I said, you didn't call on me. And she was like, well, maybe you weren't listening. I said, you stared me right in the eyes and called on the people next to me. And she was like, and she just paused for a second and said, stop being smart with me. Because this substitute, all she does, if she's losing an argument or has nothing to say, she'll just say, stop being smart with me. So, I'm just sitting there like, alright, fine, I won't use the bathroom. I sat there uncomfortably until I finished my assignments. So then I asked to go to the library. So I signed out because this teacher is like crazy or something. And I went to the library, and before I left the classroom, she looked at me and said, don't even think about going to the bathroom. So I went to the library, got my book, and set my book down, and I went to the bathroom. Just in spite, because I didn't really have to anymore. It was just in spite, because I was so mad at her. But then I get back to the classroom, and it's quiet. Oh my gosh. So, it's quiet for the next few minutes, and there's like one person missing out of our group, because it's groups of 4. And she walks up and sits down right into our group and starts looking at me. And then someone yawns. And then she gets on to them like, hey, stop being so loud. So he says, what did I do? And she said, you yawned wrong. So everyone just starts giggling. And then he says, how did I yawn wrong? She says, you did it the wrong way. And he says, I don't, like, how did I do it the wrong way? And she says, he says, what is the wrong way? And she says, that way. He says, well, what am I supposed to do? She says, do it the other way. And he says, I don't know the other way. And she's like, she just pauses for like 30 seconds, standing up. She's looking at him dead in the eye. After that 30 seconds, she just looks around at everyone and says, stop being smart with me. And that was, the rest of that day, that was all the jokes that we had. It was like, hey, you yawned the wrong way. Hey, you blinked the wrong way. Hey, you're breathing the wrong way. It was stupid. Anyways, and that's the end of that substitute. Time to move on to the next story, which is only like, it's not even close to as long as that one. I'm about to die. Ooh. He's gonna crit me and I'm gonna die immediately. Oh, never mind. But anyways, this one is, he's really annoying. He gets the whole class in trouble every time we have him, which we have him a lot more often. But he's not gonna sound as bad until you hear like the second thing he did. It's like he handed out packets, or not packets, but like just papers, and he told us to do them. And so we were all just like talking quietly with only like a few kids talking loud. My group was pretty good. And then oh my gosh. So class is over, and he's like, you guys are an amazing class. Y'all did great. And then next day we go to her class, and she's in a bad mood. And we're just like, okay, well, I mean, this is like, she was our last period, so we were like, all right, she's just been through some bad classes. And then she says, why don't y'all tell me what you did yesterday? And we were all confused, because we were like, we didn't do anything wrong. Like, what does she mean? And she says this a lot. She tries to get people to confess, even though they don't know what they're supposed to be confessing to, which is what you'll hear after every one of these encounters. So she's like, all right, well, anyways, I'll just tell you. Terrible, and that the whole class was talking loud. So we're all just like, we were like, we didn't say this, we were like all thinking it. We weren't talking quietly except for these few kids. And there were like some kids who were like extremely quiet, like literally don't say a word even if they're allowed to talk. So, we're just thinking, like, why? Why are we in trouble? And she says, the substitute, wrote me a note with some names. And then, someone said, the substitute said that we were a great class. And then, like, she says, alright, and, there are no names on here, it just says whole class. So, what did you guys do? And she's like, really? I just zoned out after that. I was like, alright, she has nothing to say. So, I'm just gonna stop listening. So, it goes on for the rest of the week. We're not allowed to talk in class. And the next week comes by, and she says, alright, on Wednesday, I'm not gonna be here, and you're gonna have a substitute. And we're all just hoping it wasn't that teacher, or that old substitute that we had, because he got us all in trouble for no reason. And then we started doing worksheets on Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday rolls around, and substitute, we walk into the class, and we roll our eyes, same substitute, and we're all like really mad. So we start in, like, when we walk in, he says, alright, you guys can sit where you want, go to whatever group you want to. So we all just go to our friends. And then, we're in a packet, like we always do when you have substitute. And he says, alright, you guys can work together. So, we start working together. And, you know, we were a good class. We weren't even loud that time. Like, no one was talking loud. We were all whispering within our groups. And then, we're back in, like, the teacher's back. And she's in a bad mood. And we're like, oh my gosh. What did the substitute say this time? And we just all started whispering to each other at my normal table. And, she says, alright, anyone want to fess up to what they did? And everyone was just looking around. She said, don't be confused. You know what you did. So, we all look around again. She said, alright, fine, I'll just tell you. Like she does every time. Because no one really knows what they do wrong. So, she says, so this note this substitute left said, y'all were sitting in the wrong seats. Except for a select few people. Would you like to raise your hand if you didn't, like, change seats? And a few people raised their hand, and she's pointed at one of them and said, you were in the wrong seat, because someone took their seat. Like, because when we were moving around, because they went to some other friend. And pointed at another one, you were in the wrong seat too, stop lying. You're lucky I don't write you up. So, we're all confused, like, the teacher said or the substitute said we could sit in our own, like, whatever seat we wanted. So then someone says, the substitutes, like, when we walked in, said that we could sit where we wanted to. And the teacher said, well, you know what right from wrong is, which, like, anytime someone asks something, like, if they could do something, she would be like, I'm not going to judge you. If you're fine with it, I'm fine with it. And then, like, they would get a question wrong on a test because they did what the teacher said they were fine with. And they get mad at her, and because she would really never tell us what was right or wrong. She thought, alright, you know, like, they could figure it out on their own, which, like, sure is, like, fine, but really, when you put it the way it was, she wouldn't tell us, like, if there was a written response, if, like, you could shorten it or not, or, like, notes that we would write, if we could shorten it, and it wouldn't affect our grade on our notebook. So, we are all annoyed because she just was getting mad at us for something that we were told was okay. So then she was like, alright, anyone want to fess up what else they did? So, no one did, and she said, stop acting confused, you all know what you did. Which we had no idea because we didn't do anything wrong, or at least that's what we thought. She says, the day before the substitute was here, I said no working together. And we were all confused. And then, she was like, the substitute said everyone was working together. which this one brave soul raised their hand and said, the substitute told us we could work together. And the reason I'm calling them brave is because when this teacher is mad, if you say anything to contradict what she's saying, she's gonna get mad. Because it was one of the kids that the teacher loved, she didn't get mad. So we were all just sitting there, and like, someone said, you never said we weren't allowed to work together. And she said, yes, I did. The day before, I said we weren't allowed to. Which, we did a packet, and she said that we weren't allowed to work together while we were doing a worksheet. And she never mentioned us doing a packet on the day that the substitute was there. So, people were like, I didn't know that you were talking about the packet. And she was like, well, what else was I supposed to be talking about? But you were doing a worksheet, so we didn't know. So then she was just getting really mad, and I just zoned off because I was like, alright, there's nothing useful in this. Why should I listen? Which was a good choice, because she talked for 90% of the class, and the rest of the class was us just sitting in silence reading our books. I lost that game for a stupid reason. I tried to go and punch him. But, anyways, then he shows up again without, like, any warning. She never said that we were going to have a substitute, which she usually does. She tries to give us warnings. And then, he just hands us papers and says, work on this. So we all just start working, and I whisper to my group, don't listen to anything he says, because he's going to get us in trouble. So, we just work, and then we finish the first paper, and then he says, alright, he gives us a word search, like when everyone finishes, and then says, okay, you can work together on this graded word search, which when work together and graded come in the same sentence out of this guy's mouth. Don't listen. I know no one here, like whoever may watch this video, is going to be in my school, but like those an immediate red flag. So I told my group, don't work together on this, we're going to get in trouble. And what do you know, the next day we go to class, and the teacher is like, alright, I got some news from the substitute. And then starts talking, and is like, okay, I got a few names, blah, 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 and just rattles off the names that she got. Okay, and I'm stuck. And then, she's just stating the names, and like, these people were talking during class. And someone said, well, at the end of class, he said that we did good. And that, like, we didn't, like, have to, like, he didn't have to say anything to us. So then the teacher's like, well, what happened after the bell rang? Which at that point, I knew, because that after the bell rang, like, she usually lets us, like, talk and walk around, like, no playing, but just, like, walk around and talk to other people. But, because it was a substitute there, people just started running around, and I just started shaking my head. And she pointed at me and said, what happened? And I said, it got crazy. Which, yeah, it was crazy. So, yeah, like, you guys are probably just like, yeah, what's the problem with that? Yeah, anyways, the reason I told that third story was just really because, I don't know, it just was the last time we saw that substitute, which was like last week of school. Anyways, I have another one that I'm going to be doing maybe tomorrow, I'm not sure. And it's about this trip that I did. I have another one coming up. It's going to be late March because the trip is during March. Like, it's like March 24th, I think it was. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. trying to get monetized. When I get 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be going bald and also doing a face reveal simultaneously. I probably sound stupid, honestly. But anyways, yeah, tell your friends about this channel if anyone ever watches this. And yeah, after this round's over, I'll end the stream and I'll see you next time.